Can NLP also be useful in relationships?
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's so many broken families these days, so perhaps we can this make a difference for them?
One of my most satisfying times in Malaysia, which I'm pleased to tell you was in Malaysia, was one of my most satisfying times of my life, was I did a CD program.
Thank you for saying that.
And a guy came up to me at a barbecue, and he said, "You're Dr. Ian Halsall." I said, "Yes." He said, "You did this NLP CD?" And he showed it me. He says, "Yes, that's me." And he just put his hand out and he said, "I just want to say thank you." And I said, "Okay, why?" He said, "Well, me and my wife, second time around for both of them, and she had a child from her first marriage. And this child was, to use the modern language, highly dysfunctional, screaming and shouting, and every evening."
How old was he?
The child was about 5.
Okay.
And wouldn't talk to the guy. And this guy said to me, "I tried one of the ideas on your CD, and the guy in NLP, the P in NLP is programming. People operate with patterns. It's like a sequence of moves, and this works for functioning things, like Michael Schumacher winning races or Warren Buffett picking winning shares. It also works dysfunctionally. People have a program for getting distressed, depressed, or in the case of this child had a program for getting upset and running tantrums, and he kept playing the same program. And this guy got enough ideas from my CD to, number 1, break the pattern, and number 2, build a bit of rapport with this boy, who was not biologically his own son, but he was the acting father of the son, which is of course always a recipe for stress and problems. And it worked. And the boy turned out to be a fantastic little kid, and they transformed the relationship, and the guy had like tears in his eyes. It was very emotional. He said, "And Ian, thank you. I couldn't have done this without your NLP." And it was because making money is okay. I've made enough money to retire years ago. Making money is fine. And by the way, couldn't have made the money without the NLP. NLP is great for making money. But the most important equity in life you don't see on a bank balance sheet. The most important equity in life is somebody who you think is great, looking you in the eye and saying, "You know what, I think you're great too." And that enriches your life, and we all need it. Even NLP trainers.
Yes.
And
it makes you feel good at the same time.
It's people are so, I mean, I tell you, Rosie, that people talk about starvation in various countries and poverty, but the biggest poverty, particularly in reasonably developed countries like Malaysia, the biggest poverty is relationship poverty. People have terrible relationships, almost no relationships, dysfunctional relationships, loneliness. These are the biggest areas of poverty. And you know, when you're at school, you get taught geography and history, but no one teaches you how to address these issues. So NLP gives a few tools for making progress with personal stuff. Speaking for myself, and this is a little bit personal indeed, I was the most rebellious teenager ever when I was a kid.
Really?
Me and my mother, we were just shouting and terrible. And I managed to use NLP on my mum. And we managed to get on really, really well. She passed away 4 years ago, and the last few years was just fantastic. Never an argument, and it was incredibly good. And so, relationships. Well, coming back to how.
Turn around. That's nice to hear.
Well, the question is, how do you do it?
It's very, very hard, isn't it?
Yes, and no. Because once you've figured out a few things in the programs for relationships, it's amazing how many times things will work. Not 100% predictably, I've got to say that. NLP isn't that good yet. There are people out there who will claim that NLP can do anything from transform any relationship to, I don't know, raising the dead. It's not that powerful, not yet anyway. But actually this is a Malaysian story. This year is the first year I solved a Rubik's Cube. I'd always thought I'd like to do
that.
Well, I'll come in the studio and we'll have a session.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And it was 2 Malaysian friends. I'll mention their names even. Nina and her son Aiden said to me, "You reckon you could do this?" And I'd never done it. And you go on the internet, you read a couple of books, and you figure out that there are sequences of moves for solving a Rubik's Cube. And
but some people are amazing. Have you seen some people that just sit there and in a few seconds they got all the colors coordinated, and my jaws drop.
Yeah, it's incredible. Now, I'm not that skilled, and this is very important. I don't have a natural skill for it. Some of these kids you see on YouTube, they have a natural skill. Frankly, I'm not that interested in people who have natural skills. even though they get a lot of attention, you know, a little kid who can speak several languages at the age of 6, Mozart when he could play the piano for the emperor at the age of 8, that's not that interesting because that's, if you like, an innate talent. They don't do anything. I'm far more interested in someone who can't do a thing at all. But with me it was a Rubik's Cube, with someone else it'd be, I don't know, playing football, and I'm interested in the people who try it the first time and they're terrible.